Good morning and welcome to It's How You'll Be Remembered. I am Julie Jones, your host and the Chief Encouragement Officer right here at Today's Professionals. And today we have Jaimie Ellithorpe with us, and she is going to help us learn how to go from overlooked to in demand. Jaimie, welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I tell you, we met networking. I have to always say that. We were introduced. Who was it that introduced us? I can't remember.
I think we met at a local event, didn't we? It might be the infamous Cheryl Powers of all
Oh,
people
the
here in
great
Dallas, right?
connector of people. Yes, Carol
Yes.
Powers. If you're here, tell us that you're here. We want to we want to say hi to you.
Yes.
Yes.
And thank you for the introduction.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we met at one of her events. And she's always great to connect people and to let others shine. So thank you, Cheryl. If you are catching this live, be sure and pop in and say hello. We want to hear from you, and we want to hear your strategies on how you stand out and how you become in demand when you oftentimes feel invisible. You know, Jaimie, I there are several different personalities out there. We talk about those that just walk into a room and everyone notices. And then there are people who, and I love to use the analogy of the Harry Potter invisibility cloak. I don't know if you remember in that book and in the movie, they had this cloak and they would put it on and they would become invisible and then they could walk around, no one could see them. And there are people out there with these cloaks on, not literally, but they just make themselves invisible. And then they wonder why they're not getting their goals. But it's really just kind of what's inside of here. These soft skills on how you stand out, and how you have the right messaging it can be developed, and it just takes a little bit of work. And that's really where you and I have a lot of synergy. And
Yeah.
that's what led us to here is the fact that we had a call. We were like, we have so much in common here.
Yeah, I think our work is symbiotic, really, because I think you're so focused on the person. And that's really half of marketing your business is how you're projecting yourself out into the world, whether that's energetically, appearance, stature, how you communicate. All
Yeah.
of those things are part of your marketing. And so few people realize that. They think it's about the strategy or I need to pump more money into advertising, where in truth, you are half of your message just with how you conduct yourself and how you're perceived. But the great news about it is instead of allowing the world to dictate that opinion, you can actually take charge of that and brand yourself and form opinions the way you want them to be formed by leveraging your marketing.
Yeah. What 100%, your image, the way other people see you is completely in your control. And so that's what I think where we align so well is the messaging and how you get out there, as well as your what I call behavior. So people don't buy really what you're selling; they buy you. They buy your energy, they buy your hope, they buy your words, they buy your posture, they buy everything. And so it's about you. And so we wanted to talk today about that. And we were talking right in the green room right before we went live. And we were talking about relationships. And you said something that really makes so much sense. And that is you really, our young generation has come out with technology. They were born with phones in their hands and technology. And so they're used to communicating through technology. And so the face-to-face relationships is lacking. We're just lacking in how to build relationships. How does that translate into business? How would you coach somebody on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the relationship that you build with your audience and specifically with your potential clients is going to dictate whether they become actual clients. And so I see it as a hybrid approach, like what we've already said, is they're buying you as the business owner or the brand, but they're also buying the messaging that you're sending them over time, whether that's through your social media posts, whether that's through email marketing, whether that's through direct outreach online. So things like LinkedIn, Facebook, or in person, such as networking groups, chamber events, things like that. It's really a combination of all those things together that's going to end up landing you the business. But you've got to know how to build those relationships within those separate strategies.
Yeah.
And while our younger generations, and really our generation too, think that building a business is easy because now we can hide behind technology. Technology is really only half of the equation. You've still got to be able to have real human connections on some level in order to solidify the business, especially even after the business has been sealed. You've got to keep that customer around, right? And so it's based on that relationship that you nurture and grow that keeps that client doing business with you. And I think a lot of people are so focused on got to make the sale, got to make the sale, got to make the sale, that they're kind of forgetting like, well, I don't know what happens after I make the sale. And that's where the real relationship skills come into play.
Right. Yes. I think you're so right, because that gets into the customer experience. And that's really where we lose, or a lot of companies will lose clients. Like I always wondered, like why, say apartment complexes would say, we have a new special for new tenants. You know, if you buy now, you get all these discounts and all these perks. But what if you have somebody who's lived there for a few years? You know, what are you doing for them? You're just raising the rent, and every year. You're not nurturing them. So what happens is the whole culture is, well, they're raising my rent, but over here they're offering a new move-in special, so I can go over here and I get my lower rent and things like that. It's the same thing too with cell phone companies.
Yep.
Wireless customers, if you leave your current provider, will give you all that. We'll give you a phone. We'll give you this. But yet, I was with one company for 20 years, and all they did was just keep raising. Telling me you need more. You need more. I never got anything like being rewarded for being a longtime customer. So, and to me, that was kind of switched. I understand the value of bringing new people in, but what are you going to do for the people who've shown loyalty to you?
Yep. Agreed. There's that old kind of ha-ha saying that you never stop dating your wife. And I think that is so true in business, is that it's so easy to get focused on new customer or client acquisition that we kind of forget to treat our current customers well, because I think subconsciously, and we're all guilty of it. I can say I've been guilty of it too, but we think, oh, well, this person is happy with our service. We're doing a great job for them. They're good. I'm going to put them over here because now I need to focus on growing the business.
Yeah. Yeah. So the customer experience, I think, really is huge. And to highlight a company that does it really well is Chick-fil-A. Because the customer experience is why we go there. We go there because even though that line is wrapped around the building at lunchtime, it goes really fast. They do quality products and they treat you nice. They make you feel appreciated. So that's, my pleasure versus no problem is huge. It goes a long way, and they charge more. They're not cheap.
Yep. And maybe even thinking about a reward system. I got into an interesting conversation yesterday with a client, and we were talking about that and strategizing that when people are rewarded, certain things appeal to different personalities differently. So we were just talking about like a monetary reward for maybe a referral. And we were talking about, that's not important to everyone, but maybe getting a gift certificate somewhere would really inspire them and feel valued for being a good customer, or like I said, making a recommendation. So I think too, it's looking at how to best serve each one of your customers from the moment they meet you and till they're no longer a customer. And that could be years if
Yeah.
done well, or maybe a lifetime of
Yeah.
serving that customer, depending on what your product or service is.
Yeah.
But it's constantly re-engaging that relationship and reaffirming it, making sure that they're being served well, and then thanking them for their business over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I mean, it really has a lot to do with the appreciation. People want to feel appreciated. And because everyone's motivation is different, some are motivated by money, some are motivated by recognition, some are just motivated because they just want to serve. And so it really depends. But having programs that are available out there to make people feel appreciated, whatever that is important too. And to talk, I want to stay on relationships, but change gears a little bit. And we were talking too about LinkedIn in particular and developing relationships on LinkedIn. And so, there's a lot of strategies out there, and I've tried some. I've hired, coaches and different people who've said, this is the script, this is how you reach out, this is what you do. And sometimes, different things work with different people. But, I have somebody who has reached out to me 4 times on LinkedIn, and it was immediately connection. And it was immediately, I want to sell you. Let's jump on a call so I can show you everything that I do. And I didn't respond. And so 2 more times, did you see my message? I want to jump on a call with you, tell you how I can serve you. And then I got the message this morning. This is the last time I'm going to reach out to you. Okay. I haven't responded to you before. I'm not going to respond again because you didn't build the relationship. And I don't even know who you are. So I think really what you had some great strategies on. Relationships take time. You have to you have to invest the time in getting to know people. And you had some good thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Share with us about
Sure. So, fun fact about me, I went to journalism school. Obviously, I'm not a television news broadcaster now, but I guess I sort of am, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things that I learned through that experience, and it has stuck with me for years now, is everyone's favorite subject. And if you've got a notepad, please write this down. Everyone's favorite subject is themselves. So if you can flip the thinking from I want to sell you something to being genuinely interested in learning about that person, that is the fastest and easiest way to build instant rapport with someone, is to take interest in something about them. And why that's so effective is that our world is so focused on the me, and what I'm trying to get out of the relationship. And when you flip that script to be interested in them, it's so refreshing that it takes kind of that awkward moment out, or that hesitation of, whoa, what are you trying to do to me? And it opens that door of authenticity. So if you could do one thing today to dramatically shift the results that you're getting in your prospecting and networking, is to stop and find something of interest to ask the other person about, instead of trying to figure out what you're going to say that's so profound or interesting. Allow them the stage to answer your question about something you noticed about them. And I guarantee you, your conversations are going to go to a whole new level.
Right. I that is so true. Make it about them. And I heard a former CIA agent talk on a video the other day, and he said, turn questions into statements, that has to do with them. So for instance, instead of saying, asking, say, a financial advisor, something about, or a real estate agent, let's use real estate. So what are the mortgages doing lately? Or how are the mortgages affecting your business? Turn it into a statement that says, I heard mortgage rates are coming down. I saw something in the news the other day about that. And then people will automatically go, oh yeah, it's helping our business so much. And they open up so much more.
Yes.
Because you're not asking the question, you're it becomes more conversational. And so people will open up more to you if you turn questions into statements.
Yep. And to add to that, the reason too, I think why that's so effective is that statement is still about them, that you're putting something in front of them that they're interested in talking about, or they know about, that's their subject, that they will naturally feel engaged in giving you their insight or their opinion. So it's always back to the other person to get that relationship started. And then eventually, I kind of laugh. Marketing to me is half psychology as well, but we are wired for reciprocity. So what I mean by that is if you give to someone, they will naturally feel that inclination that they need to do the same thing back. So if you give them the floor and you start asking them about something they're interested in, just by nature, they will stop and then say, well, what about you, Jaimie? Tell me about you, or tell me about this thing that you're interested in. You don't have to force it. It will happen naturally because that's how we're hardwired psychologically.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely right. I read a book years ago on influence, and that was one of the strategies is always give something first, give them value, give them something, and then the reciprocity comes later. And that's exactly what we're talking about is, when you give relationships time to develop, you also are in turn providing value to them. You're providing value. If they're following you on LinkedIn and you're doing posts that are sharing value of people, giving great tips, what you can do to stop being overlooked, things like that, they're going to see the value in it. And then they're more open to having a conversation with you later.
Absolutely. I've even gone so far as, most of us network for 30 minutes, whether it's in person or on a Zoom situation. I have gone so far as to allow the other person to talk the entire 30 minutes with no agenda whatsoever. And every time by the end of that call, they go, oh my gosh, Jaimie, I took up the entire time and I didn't get to learn anything about you. And I'll say, that's fine. This was just our get to know one another. And now they're really like pushing it, right? They're saying, Jaimie, I really want to learn more about you. Well, guess what? That's the perfect opportunity to sort of transition that into a consult at this point, because now they feel like I've given so much to them. They really want to learn about my business. So that easy transition is, you know what, Mary, let's schedule another time. And I'd love to walk you through what we actually do at 540 Strategies. And it's just natural. It's not a sell. It's now at this time, it's true interest. And that relationship has gone automatically to the next level without even forcing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so, it is easy. And it just takes your time. And so, when you focus on others, what you focus on grows. And so when you focus on relationships, when you focus on others, that's what grows. And
Absolutely.
So that's really, I think what we're really trying to say here is build those relationships.
And that's going back to from going invisible to becoming visible. Mm-hmm. That simple strategy that we've been talking about for the last 2 minutes is just be interested in others. That is one of the quickest ways to become visible. It's not something that you have to try to do or push yourself out of your comfort zone. It's just when you take an interest in the other people, that's when the magic starts to happen. That's when they want to learn more about you. That's when they want to make introductions. That's when they invite you to podcasts or speaking events or whatever. That next door that you need to open is just going to naturally happen because you took the time to be interested in that other person and really grow an authentic relationship. As simple as it sounds, there are few people today, I kid you not, in the business world who are doing this very simple thing. And just for you doing that, you are going to be so refreshing to other people that you're automatically standing out in their mind.
Right. 100%. We have a couple of comments here.
Yeah.
Randy B is in the house. He says, this is why if you don't know them in any capacity, we should not add them as connections so quickly. This is why I think LinkedIn always has those parameters. First and second connections are those you can add pretty quickly because you're connected in circles somewhere. And it's the third connections I think they caution you about. And then he says, getting pitch slapped is the fastest way to get ignored. Amen to that.
And you know what's kind of funny? I would say for the last like 2 years, I remember it was January of 2024. It was almost like our society did this like switch where I noticed right after the holidays, going into January, people were super pitch adverse on LinkedIn. It was like you could say hi to people and they're like, don't sell me anything. And I think that just society as a whole, I don't know if we just kind of took notice of this, but I saw it immediately shift on the LinkedIn platform during that time. Because of course, obviously in my work, we're answering a lot of LinkedIn messages, but and I think again, kind of like what he said, is being more intentional about your outreach and getting those conversations started early is what is going to make you stand out on LinkedIn and really everywhere in business, but especially on that platform.
Yeah, I think so. I think, LinkedIn still wants it to be a job search, but it has become a networking, and I always say when I connect with people, I look forward to networking with you here on LinkedIn and just kind of let it go for a little bit and just kind of see what they're posting, what's coming up on my feed, and how, I can support them in the comments, in reposting, things that I think are important. Certainly, for sure. We also talked in the green room, something that's really important too, is to stop comparing yourself to others.
Yep.
When I work with clients, I always say, who are you? Why are you here? Who do you serve? What's your mission? And stay focused on that, because again, what's focused on, what you measure actually grows. And so if you're looking at your competitor and saying, oh, they're doing this, I want to do it too, it might not be in alignment with who you are and your mission and who you serve. So put your blinders on and roll up your sleeves and focus on you. What do you think?
I wanted to interject really quickly and take what you just said in the comment prior and highlight something about LinkedIn. Whether you own your own business or you have a job, you are your brand on LinkedIn, and you need to treat yourself like a corporation. It is no longer about a place to throw out some resumes if you're in the job market and hope that a recruiter finds you. You need to brand yourself, even if you're in a job, just like you would being the CEO of your own business, because you are the CEO of your brand.
You are. And you have to run that brand just like a company, because that's what recruiters are looking for. And when people go to look for, if they have openings and they are on LinkedIn, they're looking for those things.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that we do with our business owner clients is, yes, you have this company and you have this brand and you have these products and services, but who are you within that brand? Because that's the first introduction that a stranger is going to have with you. It's not about your company as much, especially on LinkedIn, is it is about you as the human. And so that's really like your front door. That's the first time anyone's ever been introduced to your universe, if you want to call it that. And so that's why you've got to be so cognizant of who you are and what you're representing on LinkedIn and as an individual, because that's what's really selling.
That's right.
And again, same for a job seeker, is you're the brand. And that's exactly what recruiters and companies are looking at, is how are you standing above all of your competitors for that role? And if somebody's looking at your resume and you look like the other 50 people that have applied, if you can stand out as an individual about something unique that you bring to the table, then that's the flair. Do you remember that movie? I'm trying to think what it was, where they talked about you wear your 30 pieces of flair. Do you remember that movie? I'm trying to think. Office Space. Do you remember that movie, Office Space? It's probably like from the early 2000s.
No.
And one of the characters had a role as a server in a restaurant, and they wore this funny vest, and they had to put all these like buttons on it, and they called it like the 30 pieces of flair, and it became a joke. I mean, it's kind of the same thing with with standing out and becoming from invisible to visible is like, what is your flair? Like, what makes you different than
Right.
anybody else that does essentially what you do?
Be you, right? Be you.
Yeah.
Randy has popped in again and said he gets so many connection requests that use the same scripted message, which I have to ignore right away, even if they are second tier. And he follows that up with, I give attention to those with genuine messages and reply in kind. Yeah, genuine. That's
Absolutely.
important. He says, my profile gets far more attention than my business page. Yes, because it's about your brand as yourself as a business. And I agree. People do business with people. And so I find the same thing, Randy. People go to my personal page. And he also agrees. Great movie.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to add too, I read something recently about algorithms, especially on LinkedIn, that your personal profile actually gets more attention than your business page ever will. So if you're looking to leverage LinkedIn to grow your business, your focus really needs to be on your personal profile and not quite as much on your business page. I kind of like that business page as your second line of credibility. You don't want those ugly gray square things on your profile. So please put your logo in and set up a company page to look a little bit more professional. But again, the algorithms are favoring the personal profile anyway, and not these company pages. So again, it's going back to the work that you and I do, Julie, is you are your brand. And how do you become more visible with stepping into yourself?
100%. 100%. It's about doing business with people. Ultimately, even if you do it online, there's still a person behind it. There's a brand behind it. And that's what we're doing business with. That's who we're doing business with. Gosh, Jaimie, this goes by so fast.
Yeah.
I am so glad that you jumped on today. You are the creator, founder of 540 Strategies. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a boutique marketing consultancy, and we serve B2B service-based businesses, and we help them build client attraction systems. I know I've dropped LinkedIn a couple of times, but LinkedIn serves our clients so well that most of our systems have an aspect of LinkedIn baked into that platform, just because it's a great place to reach out to potential clients, referral partners, and all kinds of opportunities on LinkedIn. So that's what we love to do, is we love to help our clients go from invisible to visible and own their thought leadership presence in their industry and build the right connections that's going to take them to the places that they want to go in business.
Awesome. I love it. And you can connect with her right here on LinkedIn. Excuse me. Sorry, that just came right up. Right here on LinkedIn, as well as JaimieEllithorpe.com. So make sure you reach out to Jaimie. It has been such a pleasure to have you on today. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your time with us. And I look forward to doing more with you in the future.
Yeah, me too. Thanks so much for having me, Julie. I've really enjoyed this.
Of course, it's so fun. Thanks for being here.